like, bro, yeah, she got a kid. Look at his back. Oh my god. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another reaction. Today we're gonna be reacting to another Dr. No Sleep video. Sleep paralysis horror story.
Never had sleep paralysis before?
I had it like twice. It never had it to where it was like anything horrible. The only time I had, there was like this one time, I think I seen like a ghost in the doorway, and it was just like saying my name. I couldn't move. It was like the doorway was like abnormally dark. Usually it's dark enough where I can almost see into the room, but it was so dark I couldn't see nothing. It was just pitch black, and it was like a white cloud, and it was just saying Keyshawn, Keyshawn, Keyshawn. It was just saying my name over and over again. I was just stuck there. I couldn't move or nothing. I probably made it. It was probably on my head for real.
I remember I had bad sleep paralysis. I was laying on my stomach, and I just couldn't move nothing. I couldn't move, and like I could like see out the corner of my eye. My TV was on, but like I remember waking up, and it was like, you know, the little static. I seen something in the corner of my eye on my TV. I heard like a little. I'm like, yeah, this. And you know, like you can't close your eyes during sleep paralysis, or you can't move a muscle, nothing. So it's just that overwhelming feeling. You get really down from that. You get too scared.
Yeah. So
you just got calm down. But sleep paralysis. You mean Dr. No Sleep? Want to see more videos like this? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, share.
Yep, we're to 10K subscribers. We'll hop right in.
Dr. Nosleep. There I lay, frozen in bed, as I had 100 times before. What had started out as a waking nightmare had become little more than a mild annoyance. Sleep paralysis, always occurring as I awoke from a bad dream. I darted my eyes around the dark room, trying to figure out what time it was, wondering if I should try to move my body or make a futile attempt to return to sleep. Then I felt the pressure build up within my chest, as if someone was crushing it with their own weight. I knew it to be little more than my imagination, so it didn't particularly scare me, but it felt uncomfortable nonetheless. But on that night in particular, the sleep paralysis simply wouldn't fade. I was trapped within my limp body, unable to even yell out for help, as the words I produced merely formed whispers. Then I noticed something I hadn't seen before. A strange shadow.
I think you're talking to Thor,
a lamp casting a strange shadow. But if that were the case, why hadn't I seen it before? Then the shadow moved.
Oh, fuck. And again, eyes.
It's a figure standing in my room. I felt adrenaline build up in my blood. Hallucinations weren't unheard of during episodes of sleep paralysis, but I'd never experienced them myself. I tried to wriggle my body around, but it wouldn't respond. The shadow took a step in my direction, and mild fear had turned to mind-shattering panic. I forced as much air out of my lungs, calling out for help. Next thing I know, the lights turn on and my parents come rushing in to check on me. "Eric, what is going on?" My mother screamed, my dad standing next to her with a baseball bat. I sat up in bed, finally freed, and observed the suddenly empty corner. Had it all been a dream? I just had a bad dream, I think. I thought I saw something standing in the corner, I said as I tried to catch my breath. My bed was soaked in what I could only pray was sweat. But in the I just experienced,
I don't think so,
it didn't
buddy.
really matter. The nightmares are getting worse? My mom asked. I nodded. They were always the same. Always the car crash with my grandparents. Their blood splattered upon my face as I cried. I had caused the accident, not on purpose, but I'd cried enough to distract them. At the age of 4, I just didn't know any better. There they lay, bleeding out, but still trying to comfort me because I was scared. Those were the images haunting me in my dreams each and every night. Those were the nightmares that forced my body to stop functioning. My mom sighed. "I think we need to schedule another appointment with Dr. Burke." I agreed. He'd been able to help me through the trauma, though only to a certain degree. With his help, I'd been able to get back in a car without having a mental breakdown. I'd known him for the better part of my life, and though I'd just turned 18, technically not within his scope of therapy, I wouldn't have accepted help from anyone else. "Hello, Eric. It has been a while since we last saw each other. How's it going?" He greeted me as I entered his office. At that moment, it seemed so childish. He was a psychiatrist both for children and teenagers, and though I technically fit within that realm, I wanted to be treated as an adult. Still, I sat down and talked to him, going over the nightmares as I had so many times before. Back as a kid, he'd mainly been treating my post-traumatic stress disorder with the idea that the nightmares would vanish alongside my anxiety. He wasn't a particularly big fan of medications for kids, so we'd been working under the theory of cognitive behavioral theory. Despite all that, the nightmares persisted. I know I've told you we'd stay away.
Like, what's it called? I be in school and I'm like, it's mostly white kids. They'll be like, my doctor prescribed me with and he's like, I feel crazy sometimes.
Mikey can't seem to just sit still during class.
Let's dope him up.
Let's dope him up.
That's racist.
He can't seem to sit still as a young boy.
Sit still.
Sit down and listen to the you don't care about. Come on.
Sedate him.
Sedate him. He's obviously crazy. He can't sit down for more than 30 minutes. He has ADHD or
I'm like, he's 4.
I'm like, yeah, niggas just a little wild, man.
Man, I don't know. I would say some kids do need medication. Like the kids that are going out and fucking burning down
some
cribs.
kids need to have their moms come to the what they need to do is bring paddling back, and so then the teacher can whip the fucking kid, and then the kid's not gonna want to do anything.
Yeah.
You don't need to drug up kids. These kids need to learn respect. That's what they need to do. Because the thing is, they're in a whole different environment. They don't feel like they need to actually act as themselves because their mom and parent are around. That authority figure, that real authority figure, isn't really there to really like.
Yeah, like it's back. Like the adults that are older than us. Yeah. Like when they were younger, some used to go to like schools where the parents didn't mind like letting the teacher like beat their kids or like, you know what I mean? Like a little.
I don't need to beat my kid.
Not like full on beat them, but like reprimand them to like that's not okay. You know what I mean? But I mean that's only if that parent's not around to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But
hey,
I mean, world's a different time now. You know what I mean? You had football players going to jail for beating their kids. So
let's get back to the video.
Wait for medications for as long as possible. But now that you're an adult, it might be time to take the next step. I was skeptical, but in the end, I did trust the man. What kind of drugs? I asked.
You got a can opener.
Just a mild antidepressant. If we can get your sleep under control, I'm hoping the sleep paralysis will vanish alongside the nightmares. I'll give them a shot, I guess, I said, still not convinced.
See some shit like that.
The thing about SSRIs is that they might need some time to work. Typically, you'll notice an improvement within a couple of weeks, but until then, you need to keep taking them, as long as you're not experiencing any side effects, of course. He wrote me a prescription and sent me on my way. A mild glimmer of hope had been ignited within me, though it remained overshadowed by my lack of belief in medication. But I knew he was an educated man with years of experience. I diligently take my pills and pray for a good night's sleep. That night, I took my first pill and slipped into a deep sleep. Coincidentally, not only would the antidepressant help with my nightmares, but as a side effect, it would make me tired, which meant it kind of doubles a sleeping tablet. I felt myself fade into a dreamless darkness. It was a void where I was rid of any weight, floating in nothing except for infinite peace. I remained extraordinarily lucid throughout the experience, never once forgetting the fact that I was indeed sleeping. I just felt calm, content with my own existence. And so I would remain until my body finally landed back in bed, and I opened my eyes. I was paralyzed, my mind frozen inside my
for nothing.
It bothered me too much now. Just having a peaceful moment of sleep was worth the paralysis. I looked around the room as usual, trying to figure out the time.
Bro, just shut
then
your
I saw
eyes.
it again.
Yeah, nigga.
Just shut your eyes.
You gotta look around the room for shit.
It was close.
Yeah, bro.
I could even make out its
If I can even move my muscle, that's the
I'm like, if I can't move,
I let out with merely a
that
whisper.
thing's gonna be
But there
there.
was no one there to listen. My parents were fast asleep, and I was alone with the strange shadow that was moving just slightly closer than it had last time. Then I shot up in bed. The room suddenly cleared of all malicious entities. I could move, but that time at least I hadn't screamed. I peeked over at the time. It had just passed 3 in the morning, which meant I had a long night ahead of me. Despite the horrific experience with the creature, I was content that the nightmares had vanished. And if the medication still needed time to function, I felt confident that the paralysis would be removed too.
Bro,
How did you sleep?
I'm not taking that
My mom
medication
asked
anymore.
as I came down for breakfast. I slept all right. Still had sleep paralysis. Saw some weird things, but no nightmares. That's great, she exclaimed in
No, it's
joy.
not.
Why aren't you happy? It's just that thing. It was the same as last night,
Yeah,
I
cookies for
said.
breakfast.
A monster? She asked. I think so. I'm not sure. Eric, you know your mind can play tricks on you when you're tired. Hallucinations are normal with sleep paralysis. We went over it all together. I knew she was right, but it felt all too real. Still, I was almost excited to sleep. So when nightfall washed away the blinding rays of sunlight, I took my medication and headed back to bed. Once again, I slipped into the empty void. It was just me and my thoughts. All the horrors of the world didn't matter, as long as I could just stay in that blissful place. Just like last night, I was free from the nightmares. But once my body regained consciousness, I paralyzed back in my bed. I immediately glimpsed over at the corner, and sure enough, the creature was there, closer than ever before. The being that had once been a mere silhouette suddenly had more human features, though twisted, wrong. It was unnaturally tall, slim with twisted fingers containing far too many joints. It took a step closer, and I could hear its raspy voice and putrid breath fill the room. I put every ounce of willpower into moving a finger, then my arm. With a few excruciatingly challenging movements, I was finally able to sit up, and with that, the monster was gone. It's just a hallucination, I kept telling myself as I inspected the empty room. It's still better than the nightmares. So I diligently went on with the therapy, and each night, I'd slip into the same unconscious void, drifting further and further into the darkness. But no matter how far I sank, I would always awake, paralyzed with the creature getting closer each night. Before long, I could feel its humid breath on my face and the sound of its creaking fingers stretch out as if trying to reach me. Its face was still shrouded in the darkness. Only its hands were close enough for me to make out any specific details. The skin was charred with deep fissures that were actively bleeding, drops falling onto the floor below. His hand was just a few inches away from my face, and its stench immediately assaulted my nostrils. With that, I shot up in bed, and the creature had once again vanished.
Supposed to be in heaven,
but despite
Grandpa.
being safe, my body remained in panic mode. I jumped out of bed and pulled up the picture of the door, curtains, cupboards. Then I checked under the bed, and as I kneeled down, I felt something wet brush against my foot. It was blood, just a few drops of the putrid liquid that had poured out from the monster's hand.
That sounds real.
It's time to go.
I tried to tell my parents, begged to visit my grandparents for just a couple of days to escape the incident.
They ain't listening, nigga. I'm leaving.
They saw
Alright,
the
bye.
She said, I'm confused.
But it didn't
Alright.
exactly look
Stay
normal.
there.
It was too thick and lumpy. So they figured I just spilled something. Instead of helping,
He said, "I'm
they just booked
confused."
me another appointment
alright.
with Dr. Burke. I knew I sounded insane, but it was real.
I'm like, I'm not bleeding.
So I
There's
decided to
blood
stay
right
awake
here.
until I could
Like,
come
I
up with a
don't.
plan. I didn't have any close
Like, what's
enough
the
friends I could
disconnect?
sneak over to. But of course, that wasn't a permanent solution. While the first day went fine, I was still no closer to finding a plan. And as the 72nd hour rolled around, I drifted off to sleep, sitting on a chair in the kitchen with a cup of poorly made coffee in my hand. As always, I drifted through the dreamless void
Yo,
before
floor?
being shoved back into physical existence. I was lying on the floor in the kitchen after having fallen off the chair. I was
It's fucking falling
paralyzed,
in the kitchen,
and the
man.
being was standing closer than ever before. His face was finally visible,
Man,
and it was
I'm
little
gonna
more
get
than a
that.
solid block of meat
I'll
with
fucking
sharp
grab
teeth sticking
like
out
one of
from
those
it.
little kicks.
There were multiple
Kicks off the
small holes on
ground.
its head, each containing a tiny tendon that wiggled
don't
around
scare
like a
me,
trapped
nigga.
worm.
Smacking that nigga, get the fuck out of here.
Bro,
It
put my
whispered
foot.
with a harsh,
Go
broken
hunt
voice.
someone else, nigga. I'm
That
tired.
was last night, and though I fear for my life, I'm still dead tired. I can't stay awake much longer.
Go to
Even if
sleep,
I do,
nigga.
Go
I
to
don't think
sleep.
it's enough to hold back
So
the
good.
monster anymore. By this time tomorrow, I will be dead. And once I'm gone, the creature will just latch onto someone else. So if you wake up paralyzed, just keep your eyes closed. Pretend there's nothing there until it gets bored and leaves. It's your only chance. Thanks for watching. You can watch another scary anime.
He took his own life.
Yeah, I guess he took his own life. He couldn't handle it.
Yeah, you got me up. Like you're not about to harm me and bitch me out of my
Yes.
body. I'm like, nah.
No, no, it's just different. It's easy to say when you're not experiencing a 7-foot tall dark entity standing in the middle of a corner.
Yeah.
That's some different, man.
That is-
That's different than someone just breaking in your house.
You better keep a cross on you or
You can
something.
smell it. You can see his gnarly fingers and his drags
His
along.
blood was on the ground. And I'm like, yeah, that is different.
I don't know, man.
I'm like, if he's able to like tangibly like be in this like existence,
Yeah, it's wild.
it's different.
Yeah,
but,
but-
yeah.
Let us know if you want to see more down in the comments. Make sure that like button, subscribe and share, man. You know, Dr. No Sleep. Get the good content. Funny videos too, man. It's scary
Yeah.
and they be hilarious. So, yeah. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share. It's with the 10K subscribers. See you next time. We'll be peace.
Peace.